Hey all, welcome to my channel. Today I'm just going to talk about something very briefly since we're in the, it's the NBA Finals and such, and the fact that the Heat are the second team or the second number 8th seeded team to ever make the NBA Finals. The first being, of course, the '99 Knicks. Uh, there was an interesting, I don't want to say debate, but discussion I had with some friends, basically, and acquaintances, as to who had the better run, essentially. So it was like, basically the question is like, are the '99 Knicks better than the 23, current year 2023 Heat, or the 2023 better than the '99 Knicks? Who had the better run, basically? Now, of course, it's still early to say because the fact is like the Heat have the rest of the finals to play. Basically, if they win, of course, by all means, and they de facto become the better run at that point. But right now, getting to the finals themselves, it was a question of who had the better run. I mean, now in '99, of course, the Knicks were loaded with stars. Quite honestly, you had Ewing, you had Sprewell, you had Larry Johnson, and you had Allen Houston, and of course Marcus Camby a little bit as well too. But the other factor was, let's not forget, Ewing was injured, unfortunately, in the by the time that they got to the finals. He was definitely missed, as you saw. Whereas now, the Miami Heat, of course, they were, with Jimmy Butler, Lowry, Adebayo, and such, and someone, a little bit of unknowns here and there as well too. So it comes down to like who between these two, who did have the better run. And the other factor is, let's not forget this, is like the teams are almost somewhat similar in ways of how they played. Basically, I mean, the Knicks, offensively speaking, they weren't that great. Defensively, they were still finding the game. And then once they hit the playoffs and they were able to make the playoffs, they start hitting their stride, offensively speaking, and defensively as well too. Similar to the Heat. Remember, the Heat, for the Knicks, actually, let's go back. They were like 21-21 at one point, and if it wasn't for that last string of wins that they pulled in to get into the 8th seed, they probably would have been eliminated. I mean, honestly, as a Knicks fan, I thought they were like pretty much eliminated. I'm like, they're not making it. They're not getting, they're not making the playoffs, and they did. And of course, the fact that they were going against the Miami Heat, who was ranked number 1 at that time, I was like, all right, you know what? The Knicks are probably going to lose to the Heat anyways, because this team just barely made it into the playoffs. We all saw that, and the next thing you know, they beat Miami Heat. And of course, then how they got in basically to the finals by beating the Indiana Pacers was great. Of course, taking out the Hawks as well too in midway. Whereas the Heat, of course, the way they came is they had to play in, they lose, and then basically had to play against the Bulls just to come back in, because when the play-ins, you lose the first game, you still play the loser of the other play-in, and the winner of that goes in as the 8th seed, and so hence the Heat go in that situation. But let's think about this for a second though. One of the aspects is the Heat were coming back from a 2019 finals appearance and or 2020 finals appearance, sorry, and then in the 2022, Eastern Conference Finals appearance. So the Knicks were in the playoffs, but they were just getting eliminated in the semi-round playoffs, the semi-rounds basically at that point. They barely made it to the conference finals in some of those cases. But looking at the stats for those playoff series though that they played, the '99 Knicks versus the 2023 Heat. The Heat, offensively speaking, points per game, they had about 109.5. I'm reading some facts here. They were 38th in the league, and they were 5.2 fewer than league average. Assists per game was 23.8. 25th in the league, 1 point fewer than the league average. Rebounds wise, per game, 40.6, 27th in the league. And these are regular season stats, sorry. And 27th in the league, 2.8 fewer than the league average. Field goal percentage, 46.0%. 26th in the league, of course, 1.5% below average. Defensively speaking, the points allowed per games were 109.8. They were second in the league. They were, in that situation, they defensively were a really well defensive team. Blocks per game, they're a 3.0, third, eighth in the league. Steals per game, they're eight steals per game, sixth in the league. And field goal percentage wise, against was about 48.2%. They were 22nd in the league in that situation. Now, whereas the Knicks themselves, I mean, it's one of those things where the Knicks on the regular season, for regular season stats, offensively speaking, the Knicks per game, they were giving about 86.4 paints per game, 26th in the league. They had 19.3 assists per game, 24th in the league. And they were 41.2 rebounds per game, 17th in the league. And the field goal percentage, 43.5, 17th in the league. Now, defensively speaking, they had points per game allowed. They were about 85 points, 85 and a half points per game. Points were allowed in the game. That was fourth in the league. Whereas the Heat of now, they basically were second in the league with 109 points. Blocks per game, they had 5.2 blocks per game, 14th in the league. And a little bit better than defensively speaking than the Heat, and of course they had 7.9 steals per game, which is 20th in the league. Whereas again, the Heat had 8.0 steals per game, but they were sixth in the league at that point as well too. Field goal percentage against them was 40.3. So this is a little bit more where they were second in the league basically, and they were like much better in that aspect. So defensively speaking, the Knicks were far more better than the Miami Heat defensively from between the regular season stats. But of course, the game changed, the dynamics of the game changed considerably between then and now. But of course, offensively speaking, the Knicks also were slightly better, actually, if you take a look. Outside of the fact of the points per game and the assists per game, rebounds per game were much better as well too, and the field goal percentage was far more better. So like they, offensively speaking, the 99 Knicks were far better than the Heat as well too. But of course, mind you, let's not forget though, this is with an aging Ewing as well too, and everyone on that that was a star power, which was Sprewell, Allen Houston, LJ, Larry Johnson, and Cranberry were pretty much just about the 30 years range, on average about 30 years basically, whereas on the Heat, they're about 32, 33. I don't think they have as much of an older player there outside of Love, but he's not playing at this point. And I don't think he was an integral part or a crucial part. I mean, he plays a role, but he's not a crucial part in the team to the point where he's not playing any games in the playoffs, quite honestly. But it's more of a case where who is the better of the two? I don't know, honestly. I would say basically as a Knicks fan, my heart's going to say the Knicks, of course. I'm going to say the Knicks. But until we see the finals, at the end of the finals, if the Heat do win, then we know that the Heat had a much better run than the Knicks. But it's a situation that I can't tell if we're looking, comparing apples to apples between the Knicks of 99 to the 2023 Heat, going from the beginning of the playoffs till the conference, going into the NBA Finals, who's better? With the numbers don't lie, honestly. And the Knicks had a much better percentage. But the question is the Knicks also had a little bit of star power because they had picked up Sprewell after his suspension from choking PJ Carlissimo in the Golden State Warriors. And then the other factor is, we can't deny this. The Knicks, prior seasons, they were never in the finals outside of the 94-95 season. So they were rarely ever, in that arena. They were even in the conference finals the year prior. So the 98 Knicks were not in the conference finals, whereas at least the 2021, 2022 Heat were. The only difference was the Heat started off very slow again. They were sluggish, whereas the Knicks, granted it was a lockout season. I think the team was still meshing. They still were not. I tried to identify create an identity basically, because you had 4 stars. You didn't know how they play out at that point. So it was one of those things where they were just working together. That were trying to figure themselves out. And mind you, let's not forget this: the Knicks after '99 were never really the same after that. Whereas the Heat, if they were to lose this, chances are next year they probably will come back again and probably be up there in the conference championship, conference finals, or NBA finals for that matter as well too. Depending, I mean, you're gonna have one or two stars that are definitely gonna go to the Miami Heat. That's most likely Trey Young, my best bet. If you had a Trey Young with a Jimmy Butler, I mean, that's gonna be a beast of a team to try to beat out on. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Again, if you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section. I do read my comments when I get notified, of course, and when they do, and I respond to them when they warrant a response. Also, at the same time, if you want to leave some feedback, critique, my channel or this video for that, you're welcome to do so. Leave it in the comment section. Like I said, I do read them when I get notified about them. And also, if you do enjoy my videos, enjoy my content, and enjoy my channel, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And if you don't like my channel, don't like my videos, but still watch the videos, again, I ask this, if you please subscribe if you still want to watch them and like get irked by me or something like that, or drown it out with my voice, like white noise or something like that. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Actually, so from what we'll see with the finals between the Heat and Nuggets, I'll probably discuss about Game 2 prior to Game 2 and go from there at that point. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and unrehearsed. Until next time.